Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be continuing Annie's Crochet Afghan Block of the Month Club. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are going to continue this Annie's Crochet Afghan. If you have not seen the other videos, comment below. I'll attach you to the playlist that it's in. But we have done 6 of these already. It's pretty cool. This blanket is made out of several blocks, and each block is a kind of stitch, new stitch or pattern. Yeah, so like I said, we've done 6 already in this series. We're going to be doing 16, 17, 18. So excited for that. Due to copyright purposes, I cannot show you the instructions of this booklet, nor talk or answer any questions about it. But you can go on Annie's and get this kit yourself. It's a little interesting. This is on the pricier side. However, if you do buy an Afghan this large, you're probably going to pay the same amount of money. And anyway, so each booklet of, it looks like every 3 blocks, is going to be a monthly subscription. They're at like $20 a kit. You can set the frequency to be once a month or twice a month. I did it twice a month thinking I was going to crush this. Nowhere near it. I have a desk filled with these kits. I also did the Casablanca blanket, so I'm going to be doing that after this. But this should be really cute. I love the colors. The feel of the yarn is amazing. So let's look at the yarn. You get this anti-peeling Premier yarn, very soft. It's very nice spooling, so we'll be able to find the centers of this fairly easy in theory. So we have 3 colors here, and again, you can check out those colors at the on their website when you get the kit. But they send you the yarn too. So the first kit, they send you the hook and stitch markers, and I believe a needle as well. And then every kit thereafter, they're going to send you along with the 3 spools of yarn. And then every kit thereafter, they're just going to send you the yarn and instructions. So don't lose your crochet hook. I'm going to have to take those out and see where I put them in a little container. So we'll see. But yeah, I love the feeling of this yarn. Let's go ahead and see what block they have us doing today. We're going to do 1 block per video. So for block 16, we are going to use, and there's 2 hooks. You want to make sure you get the right hooks. So let me go get that now, actually. Okay, so I got my hook here. I got my yarn. So we're going to find the end of the yarn. Now, here's this little, it's a trick. It's like, oh, this looks like this could possibly be one of the ends. It's not. It is the end, but it's the end on the outside. See how it's you pulled it out. This is usually the easiest one to find. This is not the one you want to use because you'll end up having to remove the band and it's going to roll around when you go grab the yarn. So I would take this, wrap it around the spool here and tuck it into that little band. Okay, so let's try on this side. I just want to be away from that end. Let's go in here. You see that? You just want to get into this cavity and you want to go in deep in here. Now I'm going to randomly pull like a wad. Now this is the scary part because sometimes when you pull it, you're going to get a huge clump. Sometimes when you pull it, you're going to get a small clump. This is like a small clump, I would say, but this is perfect because the other end is definitely in here. Why? because only one strand is coming out. If there was two, there's still a little bit more you gotta pull until you get the one. But the whole point is that when you start gathering feeder yarn, you can either put like a little heavyweight thing on top and you can just pull, and you're not going to need to roll it around. It's going to stay put. I think with the weight about it now, you don't even need to put anything on there. When you end up using a ton of it, after a while you might need to set something on here just to stabilize so you can pull. All right, so now that we did that, I could set this aside. Okay, and then we can work with the wad of yarn that we have here. And this you can just pull and set aside. It doesn't have to be like, you know, a little crazy. Just want to make sure that it's not tangled or anything. All right, so now we have the other end. Let's start with the instructions here. In the booklet, it tells you the skill level. Don't let that scare you right away. We're going to work through it. It tells you the size of the block it's supposed to be. It tells you the size of the gauge hook. And it kind of gives you a measurement. So if you were to do 4 clusters, we'll explain what that is. It's going to end up being 4 inches. If you do 13 rows, it's going to end up being 4 inches. So that's always something to kind of guess your stitches on, because everybody does stitches different. All right, so now, and that's using a very specific hook. They are lettered in the booklet. There's a number on here, but it is lettered. So if it says like the size I hook, if you use the I and you make 4 clusters, it should be 4 inches. So then you know if you have to tighten up your stitches or loosen up your stitches. Okay, I just think that if you're consistent between block to block, which is going to be hard to do as a beginner, you should be fine. But that's kind of the goal, because you're always going to be different from the booklet. You can try to achieve perfection that way, but in the real world, just be consistent with how you're making your stitches from block to block. All right, special stitches, they're calling it out, the cluster, CL. So anytime you see this, it's gonna that's what it's asking you to do. And then there's a little brief description of how to do that cluster, and then I'll show you how to do that in this video, since we do new stitches and I review it 3 times each, step by step. If you need to speed up or slow down the video, click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, you can always just lower the volume on your device and click on the CC closed caption button. Alright, so for row 1, we're going to do a bunch of chain stitches. But what you're going to want to do is cast on with a slip knot first. So what we're going to do is take your ring, pinky, and thumb, and we're going to hold one end here. Then you're going to take your index and middle and hold the other end like that. Then grab your crochet hook and we're going to lie it perpendicular to the yarn. And then we're going to go down, out, and around so that you have this loop around your hook. You can slide it up and down. You want to slide it down towards the thumb. Take your middle finger on your right hand and just hold it where it crosses. Then we're going to take our left hand off. We're going to gather up some feeder yarn. Then we're going to re-pinch this end here. And we're going to slide our hook farther down towards our thumb. And where it crosses, you're just going to pinch it so that you can no longer slide your hook up and down. So from here, we're going to yarn over, which is pretty much taking this feeder yarn and putting it over the hook like that. We're going to pull this strand through the loop like that. So now I'm going to overhand my hook, where I'm going to take my hand and overhand it like this. So now I'm going to take the end, repinch it with my thumb and middle finger, make sure that I don't lose this end here. We're going to push this knot towards the thumb. This is going to tighten up your knot. You want to push it until you cannot push that knot any further. So now it's kind of like tight. Just to make sure that the knot is snug, I want to take my thumb and middle finger and just pull this little excess piece to make that knot a little snug. Then I'm going to hold on to the knot and we're going to slide it up towards the hook. Just a little bit because we're going to start doing our stitches. Alright, so for the first row it tells you to do X amount of chains. So let's do a chain. The chain is the simplest, most basic stitch in crocheting. So what you want to do is take your middle finger and thumb and just anchor that knot that we made. This is going to stabilize your project. If you didn't hold this, you're going to be going nuts trying to, it'd be impossible to do a stitch. So take your thumb and middle finger. Let's hold the knot down like this. We're going to yarn over, which is putting the feeder yarn over the hook. Then we're going to pull this strand through the loop like this. And that's it. This is a chain stitch. So what we have here is 3 loops. The chain stitch consists of 3 loops. We have a loop right here, a loop on this other side. If you turn it to its back or its side, there's another loop right here in the back. I call this the back hump. So 3 loops, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's do 2 more. So we're going to yarn over. Again, that's taking the feeder yarn and putting it over the hook. Oops, over the hook. We're going to pull this strand through the loop. So let's hold that knot like we did before to anchor our project. And we're going to pull this strand through the loop like that. So now we have 2 chains. As you see, it's kind of forming a braid. Again, a chain has 3 loops. 1 here, 1 here. Flip it on its side and you can see that 1 here in the back. Alright, so one more time, you guys. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull this strand through the loop like that. So now we have 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. It's looking like a braid. Each chain consists of 3 loops. We have 1 here, 1 there. Turn it on its side, and we have 1 in the back here. That's the back hump. Alright, so we've done this 3 times now. I'm just going to go ahead and do the remaining chains that are required for this row. What you could do is rewind this part as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing these chains on your own. Alright, so this is a good way to practice your consistency. So, I know you want to get this block done, but if you feel uneasy with even just the chain stitch, I would go and just take this lot and do chain stitches. You can always unravel it and start over. So, I've completed all the chains. As a beginner, you can always double check your counts by counting from the hook. That's not counting the loop that's around the hook, that's starting from the chain. So let me just quickly count the chains to make sure that I have the right amount. Yep. So this is what it's looking right now. This is a fairly large block. This is going to be a fairly large blanket. Now, what we're going to do is the next part of this row, it's talking about doing SC, which is a single crochet stitch, and it has us doing this in the second chain from the hook. Okay, so let me explain that. This is pretty universal. So universally, when you have a chain of chains, we're going to do a row on top of it. Now, depending on the stitch determines how many stitches you count from the hook, because these chain stitches are going to be creating the height of the row, if you can imagine. So if we do a stitch and it tells us to skip a couple or whatever, it's because we're lifting it up to create the height of the row. So in this case, it's telling us second chain from hook. So again, you're going to want to count the chains from the hook, not including this loop here. So count 2, 1, 2, right here. Now, universally, you'll probably put your hook right here. That's fine. However, I just like to stick them in the back hump. It just leaves for 2 reasons. If you put it in the back hump, you have 2 loops left. It's going to look pretty on the bottom if it's exposed. If it's not exposed and you do a border, like we're going to do after this block, it gives you 2 loops to work with, and I like that better than 1. So you can stick it into this loop, you know, like any normal person would, or you can turn it on its side, and I'm going to stick this into the back hump. Like I said, there's 3 loops per chain. 1 here, 1 here. Turn it on its side, there's 1 in the back right here. So I'm just going to put this in the back. Alright, so stick your hook into the second chain from the hook. I'm using the back hump right here. Okay, when we flip it upside down, you can see that your little braid is right on top because we're not disrupting it. It's going to look nice. Anyway, to do a single crochet stitch, after you stick that hook into the second chain from the hook, we're going to yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop so you have 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So let's talk about our single crochet stitch that we just completed. Again, that chain that we ended up skipping, it's creating the height of the row. And the fact that we use the back hump, we have a braid on top of the stitch, which is what you'll normally get. But when you turn it upside down, we have that undisturbed braid at the bottom. So it looks nice on the bottom and the top. It's just a little extra something that I do. Some kits actually tell you to do that as well. All right, let's do another single crochet stitch. So stick your hook into the next stitch. There's your braid. I'm going to stick it into the back hump. Okay, make sure that you clear your yarn. Let's look at this closely. You can easily split your yarn here. And I can tell I split it because here's 2 little strands and there's another set of 2. This yarn is made up of 4 strands. So when you put your hook into the next stitch, just make sure that you put your hook through the stitch and not through the yarn. Alright, so next you're going to yarn over and we're going to pull up a loop so that we have 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over again and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet stitches. You flip it upside down and you have 2 nice undisturbed stitches as well. Let's do one more. So into the next stitch, back hump, I'm going to stick my hook in here. Okay. Then we're going to yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop so you have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So one last time, we have 3 single crochet stitches. Flip it upside down and you have 3 beautiful braids that you hadn't messed up. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and complete the rest of the single crochet single crochet stitches required for this round, you can go ahead and rewind this part as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing a single crochet stitch on your own. Alright, for the last one, you see how you have this little excess piece. I was trying to minimize the amount of waste that we make with this yarn because it's beautiful. They do give you plenty of yarn, so I'm not worried about that, but it's still always good practice to waste the least amount of yarn possible. So for the last stitch, I am going to stick my hook into the last stitch. What you want to do is I'm going to take my feeder yarn and just make sure I get it out of my way for right now. Normally you want to stick it in the back, but because I'm now changing the angle of my hand positions here, my feeder yarn is going to be in the front. My hook is pointing that way now. What I want to take a look at is this little excess piece. I want this feeder yarn to go right over this excess piece. So what we're going to do is take your middle finger. Let's just, you know, hold this excess piece down. We're going to take the feeder yarn now, put it back, put your hook back. We're going to do our yarn over like we normally do, right? We're going to pull this through that loop. This is going to, and you don't have to do this, I'm doing this to show you, but this hooking of the feeder yarn right over that excess piece is hopefully going to keep that excess piece in place so that it kind of, you know, stitches itself back there and keeps it away from the front side. So it's gone. Hopefully it stays gone. If not, you can always trim it. But anyway, from here we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through 2 loops just as we are finishing off our single crochet stitches. So yeah, I finished the row here. I hid that little excess piece, so now we don't have to worry about that. And we've completed round 1. So, row 1. At the end of the row, you guys, of these rows, there's a little parenthesis set with the number and the type of stitch. So what that means is at the end of this row, like we are, as a beginner, like I say, you always want to go back and count all your stitches. So that's the number inside the parenthesis. You have to have those number of stitches. And just in case you forgot somehow, the abbreviations is the type of stitch we just did. So If here we did single crochet stitches and it's saying a DC for double crochet stitches, something must have gone wrong somewhere, because we have single crochet stitches here, not double crochet. But anyway, that's just explaining how to read the end of that row. All right, so now for row 2, what we're going to do is we have to turn this guy. So if you're right-handed, all your completed stitches are going to be down the line on the right side. We don't have anything on the left. We just crocheted them all. Now, in order to start a new row, you have to have stitches on the left. So how do you do that? Simple. You just turn your project. So I'm going to, if you were looking at a clock up and down, we're going to counterclockwise our project. So let's turn this. Just like that. It's very simple. So now we're starting a new row and all our stitches are on the left, which, just as I said, you need to have to start a new row. So from here on row 2, we're going to chain 1. So do your chain 1. And then, of course, since this is a chain 1, I can presume that we're doing a single crochet stitch of sorts, and that is exactly what we're doing. So we're going to be doing a single crochet stitch in the first stitch, which is right here, right where we did our chain 1. So if you take a look closely, you can see our chain 1. Put your hook into that same stitch, and we're just going to do a single crochet stitch. All right. So now this is where the magic begins. We have a CL, which is what we had mentioned in the special stitches section, a cluster, and it says see special stitches. So we're going to be doing a cluster into the next stitch. When you read long instructions like this, you just want to start whatever's inside a comma, you know, just so you don't overwhelm yourself. So let's learn how to do a cluster. We're going to be using the next stitch as well. So okay. All right. So let's look at this closely here. We're going to be doing double crochet stitches. So we have this loop right here. We're going to keep this loop as is. We're not going to integrate this in our first double crochet stitch. So what we're going to do, yarn over, we're going to stick our hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over again. You're going to pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through both loops. All right, so technically this is halfway through a double crochet stitch. We're not going to finish it. We're going to keep, it says to keep the last loop of each stitch. So we're going to stop right here. Let's do this again. Yarn over. We're going to do another double crochet stitch in this same stitch. So stick your hook into that same stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have now 4 loops. We're going to yarn over again. And you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So once again, we kind of did halfway of another double crochet stitch. We're going to leave the last stitch on here, just as the instruction says. We're going to do 1 more. So yarn over, stick your hook into that same stitch. We're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop so that now we have 5 loops. We're going to yarn over again and pull through 2 loops here. So now we have 4 loops. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all 4 loops. Now that was a doozy, but I'm going to show you how to do this 2 more times anyway, so don't completely freak out yet. Alright, so that was the next comma. The next section, we have brackets. Now, brackets, we can assume that we're going to repeat everything inside those brackets however many times it tells us to. So let's just focus on this first time. So inside these brackets we have some single crochet stitches. So let's do that now. Okay, and then the next part of this bracket, we have a cluster stitch. So I get to show you this 2 more times, so this is great. Let's do it now. So we're going to do our cluster stitch into the next stitch. So yarn over. We're basically going to do half of a double crochet stitch. So stick your hook into that next stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 3 loops. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through 2 loops. And that's halfway through a double crochet stitch. Okay, we're leaving this loop back. Alright, so now we're going to do another one. Yarn over, stick your hook into that same stitch, right? We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so now we have 4 loops. We're going to yarn over again and we're going to pull through 2 loops. So that was a half of a double crochet stitch again. We're left with 3 loops. So we're going to do 1 more of these. So yarn over, stick your hook into that same stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so now we have 5 loops. We're going to yarn over again and we're going to pull through 2 loops and we're left with 4. So we pretty much did 3 double crochet stitches, but we stopped halfway. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all the loops off our hook. So it's creating these little clusters here. Okay, so we reached the end of the bracket. So after the bracket, it says across. Sometimes you'll get a number. It's just telling you across, meaning complete that bracket till you get to the end of the line. So we have some practice here. Okay, so once again, I have to show you 1 more cluster, so let's go through the bracket again. Let's do our single crochet stitches. Okay, and then of course, after repetition, you'll be able to memorize this really. Alright, so then we're going to do our cluster. Right, so we're going to yarn over. You're going to put your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and we're left with 2. Let's do this again. Yarn over, stick your hook into that same stitch we just used. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have 4 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and we're left with 3. So let's do this 1 more time. Yarn over, put your hook into that same stitch we just used, yarn over, pull up a loop so we have 5 loops on our hook. Then you're going to yarn over again and pull through 2 loops, and we're left with 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all those 4 loops, creating this cluster. Okay, so we pretty much just finished the cluster again. I mean the brackets again. So I've shown you how to do the clusters 3 times. You can rewind this video as many times as you need until you can do the clusters on your own, but I'm basically going to repeat the brackets all the way across, and then we'll come back in and see what we have to do next. All right, so right now we completed the another bracket. There's not much left to work with to do another one. So if we just read a little further, it does say that we're gonna end with a single crochet stitch. So that explains why we have this little extra stitch. We'll do our single crochet stitch and then we're going to turn our project. So turn your project again, counterclockwise if we're looking vertically at a clock. So we can move our stitches back to our left side like we have here. And we've pretty much completed row 2. In the parentheses, it's telling you the total number of clusters versus the total number of single crochet stitches. So you can go ahead and just make sure that you have that count right. All right. So let's move on to the next round. So for row 3, let us get some yarn here. This, I don't know what the name of this is, like a breaker row, a filler row, I don't know, something. But we're pretty much going to be doing single crochet stitches across. So what do we do again? We have to create our height, so we're going to chain 1, and then starting with the first stitch across, we're going to do these single crochet stitches. So we've done these a bunch of times already, so you should be able to just go ahead and complete all of that to prep us for the next row. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I have all my stitches here that I need. Okay. All right, once you've completed that, we're going to turn and we're going to do round 4. Let me gather up some yarn here. So for row 4, we've turned it. We're going to do our chain 1. Okay. All right, and then we have to do some single crochet stitches. So let's do that now. And then after we do that, we have to do a cluster. So let's do our cluster. All right. And then we have a bracket. So this bracket is actually similar to the bracket that we did in row 2. So let's do that. Oops. All right. It does tell us to do some single crochet stitches at the end, so we're going to do that. Alright, and then we're going to turn and we're going to do row 5. So we have that done. So just like row 3, we're going to be doing single crochet stitches across. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I have the right count. Okay, we're going to turn our project. This is what it's looking like so far. So, from here we have rows 61 through 31. That's a lot. And that's where these stitch markers will come into play. What you can do is, this is going to indicate round 6. What I'm going to do is just slip my stitch marker just under the braid, like where you would put your hook for the next stitch, you know. Make sure you're not piercing the yarn. We have a nice clear passageway, so that's good. This is going to indicate that we're working on row 6, right? So, I have a bunch floating around somewhere, so I might have to end up going to get those wherever they are. But if that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I know this is 20. I just need 11 more. Let me go grab them real quick. Okay, got a bunch more. I like to get the ones that are nice and open. That way it's easy to just slip on. So if I have 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Okay, So I know that I'm going to be doing the same instructions for rows 6 through 31. If I end up having to take a phone call or anything, or just stop for the day and pick up the next day, all I have to do is count these stitch markers and I'll know where I'm at, starting with 6. Alright, so that's why we have these. I highly recommend that you would invest in a bunch of them, because you never know. Today it's 31, tomorrow it's going to be 100. You know, hopefully not, but you never know. Alright, so what I'm going to do, you guys, I'm just going to complete rows 6 through 31. I'm going to pop back at round 32, and we're going to complete the rest. This is going to definitely cut out the time of these videos, because it's all repetition. So essentially for rows 6 through 31, it's pretty much telling you to repeat rows 2 through 5. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so I completed all the rounds up till 31. We are going to be doing round 32. And we have to switch out to the smaller hook. So let's do that now. We also have to divide up the rows to evenly distribute our single crochet stitches that we're going to be doing. So I did use my stitch markers to lay out where I'm going to put my hook. So basically what we're going to be doing is doing single crochet stitches all the way around. Alright, so we are going to chain 1, and then we're going to be doing single crochet stitches down one of these edges here. So let's do that now. All right, so now for each corner we are going to do 3 single crochet stitches. And then of course when we get to the long edges, and not the side edges, where we did the back loop only in the very beginning, see now it's easy to kind of see where we're going to put our stitching, and we get to put it around 2 loops rather than 1. So let's do that. Then we're going to do the 3 single crochet stitches around the corner. Now I am going to pop back out. I'm going to do the remaining 2 sides, and then I'm going to come back in so that we can fasten this off. But this is almost done, you guys. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, so I did my border around, and now I have to fasten off. So what I'm going to do is I marked off where the beginning of the first of the edges, the single crochet stitches that we did on the side edge there, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to stick your hook into that first stitch that we did on the side, and we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the loops off your hook. And that's pretty much a slip stitch. So now we're going to fasten this off. So what you're going to do is, let me just get my scissor. We're going to cut off about 1 inch or so. Okay. Then we're going to yarn over. You're going to pull through the loop and all the way out. Tighten this up by pulling on this excess piece. We can remove this now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave in and out of these single crochet stitches and pull this excess piece through. To hide that piece. When we end up sewing these squares together, we're going to end up hiding these pieces. You don't have to worry about that. But here is our finished square, you guys. Comment below, let me know how it went. We just did block 16. So, like I said, these are good. We just learned how to do a cluster stitch and a single crochet stitch if you have not learned how to do that yet. But in this series, we're going to be doing blocks 17 and 18. I'm going to try to finish this blanket this year, so I wasn't able to last year. I had so many kits going on. I still have a lot of kits going on, but we're going to try getting at least some of these Annies done. I am doing the itty bitty knit kits as well as Dollar Tree, and then I've got a really cute Amazon kit that was, well, I got it on Amazon, but it's made by Disney, so, or at least affiliated with Disney. Alright, so that's it, you guys. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. So thank you so much for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.